Week 2 is upon us. What can we realistically expect to see from the Badgers this week?
Welcome to the Bucky Report, your destination for all things Wisconsin Badgers. Authentic takes.
Oh my God.
Game analysis.
Touchdown Badgers! Ring one up!
And discussion from the fan perspective.
Woo-hoo!
Thanks for joining us and on Wisconsin.
Welcome to the Bucky Report. We are your hosts, Rajiv and Justin, back together on a Wednesday to talk about to preview the upcoming game this weekend, Middle Tennessee State. We saw 17-0 win last week, which was great to see, but we have some problems we do need to talk about. We obviously talked about them a lot on our show on Sunday. So now we're going to kind of preview this, give you our three big things. But just before we get into those, Justin, there's a lot of discourse right now, a lot of stuff going on. Tell me some of your thoughts that you're feeling right now midweek.
Rajiv, a little inside baseball here. Rajiv likes how hot I am about things.
I teed you up a little bit.
I said I'm going all in on Fickell. I'm so tired of hearing everybody complain about everything that wasn't thought about or whatever happens. The reality is, any company, things get missed. It's all in how you react to the situation and move on. Like, I don't care how left tackle happened. You've got to find a way to fix it and move on. It doesn't matter. Dwelling on the issue doesn't fix anything. So let's have an honest discourse about how we fix the problem and move forward. But just sitting there and complaining and being about, well, the coaching staff sucks. It's like, okay, we'll see how they react to this. It's not a perfect situation. It's not how we would like this season to be going on. It's the same thing with quarterback. You didn't think Billy was going to get hurt in game one or the week in the part of spring or fall camp. It happened.
But they prepared for it by bringing in Danny O'Neill. That's the thing. Like, did they bring it? Did it? Honestly, they didn't bring in enough. They clearly did not bring in enough talent at left tackle. And maybe they thought Layden was going to be healthy. Maybe they thought Barrow was going to be whatever. Like, there's still tackles on the team. And perhaps they just thought they had more in the tank. But you look at it now, you're kind of like, geez, should they have gotten two rather than just Davis Heinzen?
Yeah, I think we talked about this a little bit. I think they were at a premium for guys that had experience and were actually good. I know I brought up a figure that I thought that Cotton may have gotten from South Dakota to go to, since he sounded like he was expensive. I don't know what the number is exactly. I know Michigan was in on him. We obviously kicked the tires there. And for whatever the reason, us and Michigan both looked at it and said he's not worth it. So I won't argue that another body probably wouldn't hurt. I think we look at this now and you can honestly see there's like a break in our offensive line room in terms of, like, this is our upper class guys who are basically out the door, and these are all babies. And all those mid-range guys that we would look at as our depth pieces are just not there anymore. And some of that was we just didn't have them. And some of that was we missed on some guys.
Yeah, I brought up with Ryan on a show I did with him last night. The 2023 class had one offensive lineman. It was James Durand. One offensive lineman. The 2025 class had four. So, like, Paul Chris was missing. Now, that was a 23 class was a Chris / Fickell class. That was the joint one. But still, we're paying the price at this point for not having that. And there's no doubt about that.
I know I brought it up in the Discord about Rucci, and people were like, well, we'd kill for him now. And I'm like, we wouldn't have him. Like, it doesn't matter who the head coach was. Rucci wanted to play, so he went someplace that was willing to give him the opportunity to play. We had Jack Nelson here. He wasn't going to play before Nelson. And that's just the reality of it. You can say whatever you want about Nolan Rucci, but he was not better than Jack Nelson in his years that he was here. So you look at it and you're like, what do you expect the staff to do differently? You're not going to play him over the guy who's the better player. And you can respect the fact that he wanted to go someplace where there was opportunity. That's not on us. Like, I can't ding the staff for it. We can argue that they should have found somebody else to replace it that maybe would have been more open-minded and understood that they shouldn't expect to be on the field right away. But like I said, there's multiple guys in between that we expected to be available to this team in the offensive line room. Ben Shaw was out for a long time. He's now our number 2 right tackle. You had Barrett Nelson, who's had injury issues all along. I mean, you've had guys that you hoped would be part of this that just aren't, and that's kind of really hurt us.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, listen, I agree, and looking forward at this point, right? I mean, it is what it is now, and we've got to move on. We've got to do what we can. The one program note I want to bring up before we get into our three big things, I was 4-0 last week, Justin. If you're into betting, Friday,
I can't
on Friday. I know. Saturday locks. Go check it out. It's within this channel, but it's a separate kind of branding. So check out that. But I was 4-0 last week, so that's pretty great. Hit the parlay. It was fantastic. All right, let's talk about Middle Tennessee State.
The Bucky Report's 3 big things.
All right, Justin. Number one, I think is pretty clear. We've already talked about it a little bit. Fix the offensive line and be successful running. We ran for 3.8 yards per carry last week. Completely unacceptable number. I mean, I think we can all agree on that.
So the only thing I would push back on that is what was our number minus sacks?
I would have to look, but it's not that great. I mean, this
no,
should be over.
It's not. But my point is I think that the numbers with O'Neal obviously hurt us here, because if you look at the running backs were actually productive. They weren't good, but they were productive. We had both Dupree and Jones were over 5. And you had Yakimelli, which was, I think, mid-4, like 4-4 or something like that.
3 or something like that. But either way, this is a team that we should be dominating in every sense of it. And
we should be getting 6+ yards a carry for multiple.
This should be a much bigger number. But I think the other part of the key is here, the fixed offensive line. Like we heard Luke Fickell say that he was going to try shuffling different things around. It appears as though Malman looks like he might be sliding into left tackle at this point based on some practice reports and some inside info, things like that. So that's certainly one of those options. Maybe Brunner's another option. Maybe Layden Nelson is the option. Maybe Ben Shawal. Like, we don't really know. But I think what we do know is there's going to be some shuffling. And if there's a game on the schedule where you can say, you know what, let's spend some time trying things, this is the game to try those things, to figure out what it's going to take to get this offensive line having effective pass pro and effective run blocking, because we have said all summer, we're going to rely on this running game. It needs to be a dominant rushing attack. Well, it can't be a dominant rushing attack if the offensive line's not doing their part. It simply cannot. So we've got to be successful running the ball. Were you overall happy with the running backs last week? I mean, in general, I thought Dylan Jones.
The running backs, yes. The blocking, no.
Yeah.
I thought the running backs ran really hard, and if they had been given more space, we absolutely would have broken some runs in that game. It's just they didn't get the opportunity to get a runway.
I also think there needs to be that vision can be improved from Dylan Jones specifically. Yeah. He's going to be fine. It's his first real game. Like, I get it, but some of those things will come, right? As he's in there, spending more time with the offense, figuring out where those holes really are, and then
it will slow down for those guys big time.
Right. And I think, I do expect to see some big breaks this weekend as far as running. I would like to see a 75-yard touchdown. Like, we need to see that. We've got to get some juju back in this program, and that's a big part of it. Okay, number 2, Justin, take this one.
Yeah, number 2, build a game plan for Danny O'Neal and give him meaningful throws. And we both agreed on this after last week. And I think that this is where you see just how much does Grimes get it? How much does he understand what he has in terms of building a game plan and looking at Danny O'Neal and saying, I know what his shortcomings are. I know what he's good at. These are the plays and the reads that I think that we can put in there for him where I think he can be productive. Because it's obviously not exactly the same as Edwards. I think there's a lot of things that you could probably have both of them do. We saw a lot of throws that were from the far hash that you just can't have Danny O'Neal do that. He just doesn't have the zip on it. And to be fair, a lot of college quarterbacks don't. And you find ways to function around that. Like, there's things to do. I think in between the hashes is probably where Danny probably is at his best, because he does have the RPMs to be throwing out to about 15 yards in that area. You just don't want him throwing to the perimeter.
Do you have confidence that Grimes will drop a good game plan for this?
I do. I actually think that I don't think the game plan was bad last week. I still feel like if had Edwards stayed in that game, I think we cash in on the drive that he was on
easily. And
I feel like that probably would have been the confidence that the offense needed to get rolling. I feel like just when things started to feel like guys were starting to feel confident, you pulled the chair out from under them, and it was, all right, well, hey, now we're bringing Danny O'Neal in, and everything changes.
Yeah. And the game plan wasn't designed for Danny O'Neal, and that's okay. So this week even if, and Billy Edwards, we don't know the extent of his injury. We do know that it's not career ending or season ending, and it's week to week, and it's what I was saying is I think he probably could play if he was like a playoff game or something. So, but it's a perfect week to get Danny O'Neil the reps he deserves and needs, because if later in the season Billy Edwards comes back and then goes down again, we need to have reps for this. We need to have a plan in place to say, okay, when Danny O'Neil comes in the game, this is the kind of stuff we're going to run. But I don't want it to be a game where if we can lean on our run game, I don't want to see that. I have him down for like 25, 26 throws. I want him to get over 20 throws because he needs that practice. We might have to use him for Alabama. You can't just depend on the run game. So I don't want this to be a game where we run the ball 50 or 60 times and we don't put the ball in the air. We need to do that, and we need to really hone in on that game plan. This is a glorified practice. Treat it as such.
Yeah, I'm gonna be very clear with you. This is where Grimes is not Paul Chryst. Like, he is not one to sit there and just be like, he's like, we're gonna run a competent offense. I want to run this like I would run it against anybody else. I would anticipate we get 25 out of him in this. And it could be more. Like, I think he actively went into, like, we changed up what we were doing in that last game because he wanted to get Danny confident that, figure out, hey, let's get you comfortable so we can start running the offense. We want to get you some throws. And that's why we got a little throw heavy there for a little bit in that game. But I think even he realized, he's like, well, if I'm going to get something out of this, we need to actually have him function and feel confident. We can't just sit here and just keep running into a 9-man box. It's pretty clear to me that Grimes is like, if you're going to stack the box, I'm going to throw the football.
Mm-hmm. And rightfully so. And I hope I'm excited to see what the game plan is going to be for him. And I'm excited to see what he can do, because he's got swagger. He's got a lot of, sort of confidence and stuff. And let's see it, go out there and make some big plays. Yes, we're playing a team that allowed 34 points to Austin Peay last week. Yeah. So it's not a good sign for them, but it is a good sign for us and our ability to hopefully make some moves. All right, number 3, on the defensive side of the ball, another shutout or close to it. Again, this team, Middle Tennessee State scored 14 points last week on Austin Peay. We allowed 117 yards and no points against a MAC team. This should be a shutout or close to it. It doesn't have to be a shutout. I'm not one of these guys that got to allow 0 points. It's fine. We need to crush this team, and we need to dominate everything defensively, which means disruption, sacks, tackles for loss, like pass breakups, interceptions. Like, we need to be dominating this game. And I don't want what we saw last week to be a fluke. I don't think it was. I don't think you think it was. But I think that showing it again, albeit against a very weak opponent, will give this defense even more confidence. Mm-hmm. If we allow 3 or 6 points, we'll be the lowest allowing the score points allowed team in the country. And that's a nice stat to have going into Alabama. Obviously, they're going to score points on us, but that defense is going to be so pumped up if we can actually get hold of another shutout. But it's just about being dominant, right? Like, let's do it again, man. It was so fun to watch.
Yeah, I am that guy. I will say that I want to see another shutout from this group. I think they should. You have a quarterback that was under 50% passing against Austin Peay. I want to see him go out there and shut that guy down. Like, I would like to see him sub 40. That might not happen depending upon how short they go with their passing game, but I absolutely expect us to basically crowd the box and come after them, because I don't think they can hurt us athletically. So come downhill, attack, and just blow them off the field and get the ball back in the offense's hands and let them get rolling and get confident.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, let's get into some predictions.
The Bucky Report predictions.
Okay, so before we go score, Justin, I'm curious as to what your prediction would be, and I'm kind of putting you on the spot with this one, so I'll go first so you can think about it. But Danny O'Neil's stat line. I'm curious where you are with this. So I have him down 17 of 26 for 220 yards and 2 touchdowns. The key number there is 26. I want to see him throw the ball, and I think he should be able to have above 60% completion easily. Couple touchdowns. I think we're going to get a lot of rushing touchdowns. I think that's where a lot of the points will come from. But I expect him to have a pretty good game. What is your prediction on Danny O'Neil's stat line, roughly?
I think you're pretty darn close to where I was thinking. Actually, what popped into my head was probably like 17 or 18 to 25 and 225. Yeah. And maybe 3 touchdowns would be great. I would love to see him be able to find guys from 20 yards in and just be able to hit maybe a slant or something and a couple other passes to be able to put some points on the board.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's reasonable. I don't expect him to go out there and drop 300 on somebody. Is he capable of it? Probably, but I don't think we need it. And I think that Grimes is going to come into this and be like, I want to do what defense is showing us and just attack what their weaknesses are.
Which could mean over the top. We could get some deep balls here because I think that's going to be available to us.
If they go for 300, it will probably be because there's a couple of 50-yard passes.
Correct. All right, so games this Saturday, 3 p.m. Central Time, afternoon game at Camp Randall. Middle Tennessee State visits Wisconsin. Justin, score prediction. We are favored currently by 28.5 points. I don't love that line, by the way. I'm not saying we're not going to beat that, but that line that's a pretty big number. What do you think the final score prediction is?
I'm going to stay with a blowout here. I just think that we're going to be able to get some things done. I think it bodes really well for Danny O'Neil getting a full week of being able to get the reps and feeling comfortable, and also the offense itself feeling comfortable with him in there, because I do think there is some changeover in having a quarterback swap in or out when it comes to this. I'm going to go 42-0. I'm going to call another shutout because I think the defense is going to feast. I think our edges are absolutely coming downhill in this game because I just don't think there's anybody to scare them really. And the offense is going to have the ball a lot. So unless we decide to sit on the ball, which I think we did a little too much of in the last game, I'd like to see us keep the tempo flowing a little bit more. It seems like we just ground clock for some of that game against Miami of Ohio, when I think it would have been better for you to get more plays in. I want to see them go out there and actually get downhill and attack this team. Yeah,
I would love for it to be a game where we're up 3 or 4 scores at half and we keep going and we just keep attacking, and you see these other people, 60-3, that kind of stuff. Like, I would love to see that. My official prediction is 41-3. I do think we cover, but I'm still not going to bet it. It's not going to be one of my picks because I don't like the number. 41-3. They were going to kick a couple field goals just because we're probably going to get into some situations where 3rd and long and field goal range, we're not going to score all touchdowns, I don't think. So 5 touchdowns, 2 field goals, 41-3. I don't think it's a shutout. Look, anything can happen. Like some fluke play and they're in field goal range and they're gonna score 3 points. But I don't think they're gonna score much more than that. So that's where I'm at.
I'll make another bold prediction here. Somebody has a pick 6.
Maybe Preston Zachman. We keep that ball rolling.
Dude, he's got an outside shot at 6 or 7 picks this year. I think that he's going to have the opportunity to be very opportunistic in this,
especially with an active pass rush. Like when one of the plays that he got a pick last week, it's because Tommy Heiberger was stunting around and actually got some QB pressure.
He had pressure both times.
Yeah. And that is critical. If we, especially with this, with Middle Tennessee State, we should definitely force some turnovers for sure and keep it clean. The other thing I'm just going to add is we need to keep this clean. I don't want to see stupid pre-snap penalties. I don't want to see stupid turnovers. Like, let's keep it clean and let's do this right. But more than anything else, get this offensive line working, because it's all anyone's been able to talk about all week. And as Justin said, he's tired of it. And the discourse is pretty rampant out there, but it's rightfully so. I mean, we've never seen a Wisconsin left tackle get frankly abused as much as Tavis Heinzen did, and against Miami of Ohio.
Okay, Miami of Ohio. You had to give me that. Give me that, because I'm like, I watched Washington State a couple years back.
Right,
that was definitely similar. But
you're right. But this
Miami of Ohio is not Washington State.
Right, that's a Power 4 school. This is not. Like you're gonna like, listen. Alabama could abuse us too, but Miami of Ohio should not be doing that to us. Like that's not. He's good. That end was pretty solid, but come on there. All right, we'll be back on Friday for Saturday Locks, and of course on Sunday for our full show, breaking everything down from week 2. Thank you for watching, and as always, on Wisconsin.
On Wisconsin.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoy the show, subscribe to our YouTube channel at The Bucky Report or The Bucky Report Podcast from wherever you get your content. Until next time, on Wisconsin.